Alright guys, welcome back to God of War. Last time we met in God of War, we just finished up in the Cliffs of Madness, and actually we are just, we're actually really at the end of the quest for Pandora's box. So first things first is we actually got to cross this giant pit with saws here and what looks like giant 9-volt batteries. This is actually a relatively simple puzzle. But it does require a little work in order to actually finish completely. Does involve that statue there. Yeah, but we are actually in the final stretches of Pandora's box. Like, I want to say we're getting it in this part. So yeah, we can celebrate, once we actually get it, because yeah. So what you have to do is there are 3 buttons in this area. The first one that we need to put down is in that hole right here, but we need to break it open first. So once we do that, we're going to push the statue down there and press the button that's down there. And then we pass the other button that's right there. We're going to be using something else to keep it down. Basically, what you're wanting to do is that you're going to be activating all 3 buttons at the same time. However, the problem is that one of the buttons will not have anything on it, and you're going to have to get to that door that's over there within a time limit. It's not that hard, especially, and the third button I was talking about, it's over, but it's on the other side of the pit with the saw blades and stuff. And yes, if you do fall into the pit, you die, so don't do that. There's another one. Oh yeah, I got my Blades of Chaos all the way up to max level. So I think actually at this point the only weapons that aren't max level are the Blades of Artemis, Medusa's Gaze, and I want to basically, I know Poseidon's Rage is, you can tell by the logo. Army of Hades isn't, I don't think, because it costs the same as the final upgrade for no, I think Zeus's Fury actually is. You can also tell what level the upgrades are just by the upgrades themselves, like the actual the actual weapons and spells themselves. Like, they have different coloring and all that, which I actually really kind of admire. I actually really do like that. You can clearly tell that there is a difference with the Blades of Chaos, or you can tell that your Blade of Artemis is stronger than it was before. Like, I think really the only weapon that I can think of immediately that doesn't really have a visual cue, at least a clear one, that it's getting stronger, is Poseidon's Rage. But at the same time, Poseidon's Rage was already like the most powerful spell in the game. Yeah, they really had to bring back the Cerberus dogs. Actually, now that I think about it, how many parts do I have left? Because this is going to be a Friday part. I know there's one part next week. I think we just have 2 more parts left, I want to say. Because I usually make the finale just everything, all the last stuff. So I guess I should probably talk about some of the stuff that I'm not showing off for the sake of different reasons. So one of the biggest Easter eggs in this game are the 2 phone calls. I will not be showing those off because, one, you could honestly just Google them and you'll find a YouTube video that has the phone call recordings. And 2, it's just harder for me to record than you think it is. Yeah, I'm not really gonna hold my phone up to a microphone and do that. That is a recipe for disaster. Also, I believe the numbers still work to this day, so if you are legitimately curious, you could Google the numbers and see what they are. Basically, one of them you unlock. So you get there's two codes. The first one you get is where you defeat where you break. There's gonna after you at the end of the game, there's gonna be two large statues that take forever to break. When you break them, you will reveal the code. You have to do this once in any difficulty, and then a second time in God mode. That's how you get the two codes. And one of them is basically Kratos saying, you know, hey, good job on beating God mode or whatever. Now let me show you what happened to Ares because, you know, you're probably curious and all that kind of stuff. And then the second one, the one that more people know about, the one that more people remember, is the one where Kratos kills the main director of the game, David Jaffe. Because, you know, Kratos is like saying, by the gods, you've done it, and, you know, you found your way to me. And then, you know, David Jaffe interrupts him, and Kratos gets mad and kills him. It's funny, but, you know, it leaves a lot of things into... Oh, I like this right here. I actually almost made it. I actually unintentionally hit it on the button, but I move it anyway just to be safe. Even though I'm pretty sure it wouldn't have done anything. Alright, so I gotta kill these Cyclops. What was the plural for Cyclops? I don't remember. It doesn't matter. Well, they're already dead thanks to the Army of Hades and the highly leveled Blades of Chaos. Yeah, at this point though, I don't want to say that the enemies are getting weaker, but they're not. The combat is not as hard as they're not as hard as they were before. Like you saw how easily I took out those guys, and when we first got here, when we first got to the Temple of Pandora, it took a lot of effort to take these guys out. Actually, we're going to be going back to Athens later, and we're going to clearly see that, you know, the enemies are a lot weaker, mainly because since it's a level 1 area, the enemies are responding. The enemies are going to have weaker health values, and since, you know, we're going to be almost fully decked out Kratos, you know, we're going to be defeating a lot of enemies, which I guess is a good way of showing the player how strong you've become over time. But at the same time, it's kind of, at that point, why put in the combat encounters? I guess for the sake of getting red orbs, if you haven't gotten all the upgrades. Okay, I actually have no problem with this platforming section. I think my main issue is the camera. It's kind of like Crash Bandicoot 1. It's like classic Crash Bandicoot games where the damn camera doesn't turn around, meaning when you're backtracking. Oh, that is reckless. Yeah, but if you listen closely, you can hear like a ticking thing. That's the game's way of telling me how much time I have. And there you go. I got in on my first try. So yeah, this is actually our final key and our final door. We actually had one more skull to grab, and it wasn't Pathos Verdes. Yeah, by the way, Pathos Verdes is dead. I think he killed himself, yeah. But Pathos Verdes is dead, and his wife is dead too. I think he killed her because, you know, actually at some point Pathos Verdes was kind of going insane. You kind of noticed it through all of it if you were reading like all the lore stuff, like not skipping it like I kind of was. If you were reading the lore bits, then you would have noticed that he started growing resentment towards the gods, especially considering the kinds of things he was forced to build for them. Like, you know, the kinds of traps and stuff like that. But, so yeah, after his wife died, he made one final door with the skull keys, or the keys being the skulls, I don't know how to word it. And it was his wife's head. Yeah, so so Pathos Verdes' entire family's dead because as he was working on the temple, they died. And that sound was really early. That was weird. I guess that was probably just me. No, that's just straight up disrespectful, dude. I do show off the character graveyard, actually, at the end of the Let's Play, which is actually really cool, because I'll get into all that stuff later, but it's actually really cool. I like it when developers put this kind of stuff in games, where they kind of just give you elaboration on, like, the development process of a game. Like, you see, like, the kinds of concepts they had, or character designs they scrapped for different reasons. You know, it's really cool seeing that kind of stuff, especially for Kratos, because Kratos actually had a lot of different designs that... Some of them looked pretty cool, but, you know, looking at them and then you compare it to what we have now, I think it's really great that they decided to move on and do what we know. Not saying that those designs are bad. I think a few of them actually do make reappearances in future games in the form of costumes. But it was still pretty cool to see, like, you know, that Kratos actually had a blue tattoo at one point, or... You know, Kratos looked significantly different. There was even like they even included a throwaway model that they used for testing purposes. It's like, yeah, that's kind of the developer insider stuff I actually really like. Is like, you know, they have throwaway assets that they use, you know, just for the sake of testing. I do that for Xenilian Primordial Chronicles. I have like a million throwaway assets that I just use for testing stuff. You know, I have like a sword graphic for a sword that grants like 999 stats on everything, just so I can test and see some, just so I can test something. Or their assets I just plan on replacing in the near future. Alright, so here we are. The very uploading screen. Yeah, that happens sometimes. Even though the stairways are usually meant to mask the loading times, sometimes, especially on the PS3 version, I've noticed, the load screens just typically tend to creep up in there. I don't know why. But the PS3 version, it's so weird to me. The PS3 has some aspects about it that are really innovative, but at the same time are really just... Why? Like... One thing I get, like, the disc reader for the PS3 is utter garbage when you compare it to the Xbox 360. If you want an example of, like, clear differences between performance and the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, look at Sonic Unleashed footage. Now, it's gonna look... Sonic Unleashed footage isn't, you know, a smooth 60 frames a second. I mean, especially if you go to Adabat, where it's a freaking PowerPoint presentation. But, like, there are some clear differences between the two versions. Like, one of them, mainly the loading screens. The Xbox 360 version of Sonic Unleashed has completely different loading screens than the PS3 version. The Xbox version of Sonic Unleashed has, like, you know, Sonic actively transforming into the werehog when it's a transfer from night to day. While the PS3 has, like, it just has, like, the sun and moon metal just rotating on the screen. Very generic, unfortunately, but there's a reason for that. You know, a load screen is required to, you know, a load screen is loading something else. I don't think it'd be really wise to have a load screen that needs a load screen. Unfortunately, though, I do own only the PS3 version of Sonic Unleashed. I mean, not counting Unleashed, as some people call it, which is the Wii version of Sonic Unleashed. I do have the Wii version. I also have the PS2 version for some reason. I have a few copies of Sonic Unleashed, and I think Sonic Unleashed is a very underrated game. Like, some people really hate it because of the werehog, and admittedly, yes, it is a bit of a gameplay shift at times, especially when you first play the game. But honestly, I started thinking of it like God of War, because the werehog controls a lot like Kratos at times. You know, the double jump is almost exactly the same. How Sonic swings his arms and stuff like that. It is an image of man battling Zeus himself. It is an image of the future. Very subtle, guys. Oh, we already know what happens in the next few God of War games. You know, Kratos, you know, has a bad day and takes it out on everybody. Oh yeah, by the way, that combat challenge wasn't that hard. The only problem is that you can't stand on the sides because there's fire. and it shoots out and kills you instantly if it touches you. So, yeah. Okay, I thought it was Pandora. Okay, never mind. I was about to say, I thought it was Pandora's box, not Pandora's orb. Alright, we got it.
Kratos, your quest is at an end. You are the first mortal to ever reach Pandora's box. There is still time to save Athens. You must bring the box back to my city and use it to kill Ares. Return to Athens, Kratos. Return and save my city.
Yeah, so first things first. So yeah, we finally got Pandora's box, and you want to hear the biggest piece of bullcrap ever? This elevator takes us straight back to the entrance. Oh, God. You know what would have been worse, though, is that we opened the freaking orb thing, and then, like, it says, I owe you Pandora's box, Pathos Verdes the Third. Like, I would have laughed. Probably would have screamed, but... Also, I am not a professional in Greek mythology, but, like, I feel like Pandora's box was supposed to be a lot smaller than this. But you know what? I don't care. I guess they have to scale everything up for the sake of being entertaining. Because I could just imagine, like, Pandora's box just being, like, the size of, like, a box where you get a ring in. I thought I was about to walk away without the box. Like, alright, I don't need this. He's like, alright, I got it. Alright, we're done here. He's like, Kratos, take the box. Yeah, unfortunately, we have to push this thing all the way to Athens. It's gonna be a fun journey. Oh.
After 1,000 years, Pandora's box was at last freed of its confines. Kratos had found the means to destroy the god of war. Far away in Athens, Ares knew Kratos had succeeded in his quest.
So, little Spartan, you've recovered Zeus's precious box. But you will not live long enough to see it opened. I will see to that. Goodbye, Spartan. You will rot in the depths of Hades for all eternity.
As the life began to leave Kratos, his thoughts returned to that fateful night. Even in death, the memories, the visions would not fade. For how could he forget spilling the blood of his own family? A cruel trick orchestrated by the god of war.
My wife, my child, how? They were left in Sparta.
You are becoming all I'd hoped you'd be, Kratos. Now, with your wife and child dead, nothing will hold you back. You'll become even stronger. You will become death itself.
But as the flames consumed the temple, Kratos realized his true enemy was the god who once saved his life. The same god who had now taken everything from him.
Ares!
From this night forward, the mark of your terrible deed will be visible to all. The ashes of your wife and child will remain fastened to your skin, never to be removed.
And with that curse, all would know him for the beast he had become. His skin white with the ash of his dead family. The ghost of Sparta had been born. In the end, in death, he had failed. As the minions of Ares claimed Pandora's box, Kratos' life faded, and his cursed soul was cast into the fires of Hades. and Kratos fell into the underworld, the river Styx beckoning below, the currents strong enough to carry even the strongest mortal to his eternal resting place. But Kratos had no intention of resting yet. He intended to live, to return to Earth and complete his quest.
Let go, fool! You won't drag me down to that cursed river!
There is a task left for me above. I will see it completed.
You again?
Yeah, that guy kind of becomes a running joke in the God of War series. Like, he's in literally every game in some sort of capacity. So, we're in Hades! We died! Woohoo! Game's over, right? We can go home? No. No, because the #1 rule about God of War is that you can kill Kratos, but he'll be back in like 5 minutes with probably more upgrades and really pissed off. So, don't do that. Yeah, and honestly, the way Kratos died is utter bullcrap. I mean, you want me to believe that Ares picked up a giant wooden whatever the hell that was it wood? I don't remember. Managed to throw that fucker like across the freaking earth into the small, I'm assuming would be really small door hole from his perspective. And it hits Kratos directly. And Kratos is a really small target. Like, you know, Ares is like the size of a building nowadays. And Kratos is the size of a 7-foot human. Yeah, he's 7 foot in the older games, by the way. But that's all for another time. I do want to talk about, you know, what happened, you know, with the flashback, but I'm going to save that for next part because I don't want this part to go on that long. So see you guys next time and take care.